Okay, fine. I read the whole series. Are you happy? Hi, welcome back. If you've seen my last vlog, it was kind of like a vlog and then a reaction. I fell into the gay hockey romance deep hole. I honestly would have never expected to like this series this much. And I am talking about the Game Changer series by Rachel Reid. I saw that taxpayer money in Canada was going to a very gay, incredibly gay, very smutty hockey series. And I wanted to read the book before watching the series. So I read the book and I fell in love. The book was Heated Rivalry. This is the second book, actually, in the Game Changer series, but they are all companion novels outside of Heated Rivalry and The Long Game, which The Long Game is the sequel to Heated Rivalry. And I am so enamored by what I've read from this series. I also watched the first 2 episodes of the TV show and they're incredible. If you ever wanted to read something that is clearly a labor of love for queer people and also very steamy with 2 very beautiful and talented actors acting out so much nudity. This is the series for you. This is the TV show for you. But I posted my reading the series on TikTok and everybody said, oh, you should go back and read book 1 because episode 3 of the TV show is going to be about Scott Hunter. Scott Hunter is the protagonist of the first Game Changer book. He is the game changer. This is what I'm doing this December. All of my TBR out the window. I need to read my fill of gay hockey romances, especially because I loved Heated Rivalry and The Long Game so much because the author does something that I really like, which is she uses the smut scenes, like the steamier scenes, to actually tell a story, to make the story advance and to, especially in the Heated Rivalry, making sure that the tension is still so high, but the relationship develops from just casual hookups to actually very deep and passionate love. So yeah, I'm starting the Game Changer series. Already downloaded the awful... Yeah, there are cartoon covers of these books. They are, however, unfoundable. They're sold out everywhere. I'm so happy for the author, but God, I want them so much. I'm starting Game Changers. I'm so happy. I'll see you in a bit. I look like a wet rat. If you saw that first clip in which I started Game Changers, the first book in the Game Changer series, I was on a train that was supposed to be 3 hours and 20 minutes. It ended up being more than 4 hours. I fucking hate Ferrovie dello Stato, our, state train company. Fuck them. Fuck them and the Minister of Transport. But I did ended up reading 26% of the book in one sitting. It's, I think, 100 and something pages. Yeah, 109. I'm having so much fun. This is definitely different from Heated Rivalry. This is book 1. Heated Rivalry was book 2. The writing is very simple, but I really like this relationship. Book 1 talks about Scott Hunter. You also see him in the series. He is at one point friends with Shane Hollander. He's a very, very top NHL hockey player, but he has recently lost his spark after winning basically everything in the Olympics, Stanley Cups, etc. He goes to a smoothie place, orders a smoothie and sees the hot barista, which is Christopher. And then for some reason, he wins his next match. So he's like, well, I have to get another smoothie because, athlete rituals. And he gets to know this hot barista, which is, I don't know, it's very sweet. It also reverses all expectations that we have for hockey players, that they are very dominant, very big and burly. Scott Hunter is very shy. Is a mountain of a man, very commanding on the rink, but then he's very shy, he's very timid, he's very kind, he's very gentle. And the hot barista that you actually picture as some twink, he has a history degree and he wants to be a historian, but he just can't find a job. So he makes smoothies as a smoothie place. Actually, the role reversal goes both ways. He can be very flirtatious, but also kind of a little bit more dominant. And they're all very kind to each other, which is why I think It's a very stark contrast with the ruthless world of hockey. They don't have to have like a very tumultuous relationship between them. It's just the ambience, like the scenery in which one of them works. It's very dangerous to come out as gay. I'm having my fun. I'm not as invested as I was with Shane and Ilya because the tension was so high in that book. This has quite a bit of tension, but they do get together fairly early. I'm dreading the external conflict here. It's also quite a lot longer. This is 420 pages, I think. I'm going to keep on reading tonight. I'm so down with the series, and this Friday another episode of Heated Rivalry is going to come out, and I think it's going to be Scott Hunter central to explain his relationship with Ilya and Shane, you know, all the good stuff. Okay. Alice, is this the same jumper of when you started this whole vlog? Yes. Shut up. I've been watching so many, Heated Rivalry clips on YouTube and all of the social medias because I'm waiting for this Friday. And one of the actors apparently loves this one pair of pants and he always wears them. And people are saying, oh my God, do you own just one pair of pants? Guys, you don't have to wash your clothes every day if they're not stained or they stink.
Edit and Alice here. What was I talking about? Why did I go on a rant about Hudson Williams' pants? What is this series doing to me? I honestly have no idea.
I read a little bit on the train. I also read a little bit yesterday night. Yesterday night, I was so locked in with Game Changers. I read, I think, 70, 80 pages. And the relationship is so sweet. Like, it's very sweet. But I can see how it's progressing to be a little bit more tense, which I wanted, because there was no actual conflict of them getting together. Because they got together. I don't know if I mentioned it, but they got together. But it's still a secret, and that secret is kind of grinding both of their gears, both Scott Hunter, the hockey player, and Kip. And I just want them to be happy because this is a very sweet relationship. But I'm glad that there's an external conflict creeping in because then the tension can get higher again. And then I was like, well, I'm falling asleep, but I still want to read it. I have the audiobook though. Let's put on like 15 minutes of the audiobook just so that I can fall asleep and I lose nothing. The narrator of the audiobook is very talented. He is very good. Don't get me wrong. When he's doing Scott's part, perfect. When he is in Kip's head, he does this honestly hilarious Boston accent. And it feels like it's one of those impressions of like, you're talking to me. Those Italian-American actors. It's so bad. It's so hilarious. I cannot. And in the like more calmer scene, that's okay. It's just silly. But in the spicier scenes, like in the sex scenes, it's just, I cannot take them seriously. And then I read a little bit on the train with my Kobo, and I am on page 269. They're having, bigger and bigger problems keeping their relationship a secret because nobody wants to keep this a secret. Aside from the outer world, especially Scott is worried about his NHL career and how the fans are gonna react because there's no openly gay NHL player and he'd be the one. That's the title, Game Changer. And I cannot wait for the moment that he finally snaps and he's like, no, I'm taking my life back. Because this is not just a relationship, it's his whole life, a part of himself that he has to constantly lie about because all of his teammates are like, oh my God, you got such a glow. Did you get with somebody? And he's like, well, kind of. And they're like, oh, how is she? Because there's only a she. And I feel for that so much. I'm flying through this because I started this the day before yesterday, and I'm already almost 300 pages into it. I'm back in my academic weapon era, but just for gay hockey romances. Today, the mission is to finish this. I can totally do that. And then I'm going to skip Heated Rivalry because it was book 2 and go straight to, is it Tough Guy? Book 3.
I have to be completely honest with you. I have no idea what playoffs are. Do I know how hockey is played? Yes, kind of. It's not really a very played sport in Italy. We're swimmers, racers. I mean, curling is a more felt sport than hockey here. I think we do have some ice hockey teams. Definitely some like earthy grass hockey. Normal hockey. I am so bad at this. And I used to be a professional athlete. But I was a swimmer, so, summer sports. I have no idea what playoffs and the Stanley Cup and everything else they're talking about. Like, what I was trying to say is that in my experience, for a very brief time in my life, held a state title. So I did my town tournaments for the youth for swimming, and then I did my regionals, and then up, and then I came third at my state competitions. I got bronze. That's understandable, but playoffs is doing terrible things on my mind because I'm always thinking of like European soccer for some reason. You know what is lovely? Is that I'm using my computer as a source of light because it's 4:30 p.m. It is nighttime outside. I am 300 pages into Game Changers. What is it? 77%. And you know what I love? Is when characters have actual conflicts that can't really be like resolved in one single conversation. Because that means it's not miscommunication. It's a very complicated problem. Here we have a NHL player that has to come out to live as his honest self. But that's so difficult because maybe he could lose his position, his endorsements, and if he doesn't, he could never be with the love of his life. And that's not a thing that a simple conversation can solve, but using your words is the most important part. And this is showed here, and I appreciate this so much. They're very cute. I'll admit that I kind of miss the tension of Heated Rivalry just because I love high-strung books more. This is just very sweet. This is a very, not slower, but like slower in feeling. I think Shane and Ilya will forever be my favorite couple in this, but I do appreciate how this is the first book in the series. This is already very good. How dare you! Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is good. I'm going to go outside to take a mental health stroll, even though the sun is not cooperating. You know when I said mental health walk? Never mind. It is so bleak. And I didn't even put on headphones to listen to the audiobook. It's just my little stroll with cars. Yay. But actually, you know what? Intrusive thought. Not the medical term, but just that it's a thought that it's intrusive. I still think about that clip from the actor who plays Shane in the series, and he just says, don't be nice to me, don't be soft to me, spit in my mouth. And I just think about that a lot. You know what? Coming out scenes will always get me. And this was so sweet. Because Scott, he's so careful, and he uses some very the language that only a person who's been in the closet for a really long time would say is he has come out to some of his friends and he's like, I don't suppose you're going to be alright with this right away, and they're all very supportive, but it's so sad to see him being like, oh, I know you're gonna hate me, I know you're gonna not think of me highly right now, but no, everybody's so happy for him. Page 334, just 100 pages to go. That was very sweet, that was very wholesome. I really liked it. Not even a page later, one of his friends to the coming out, he says, oh, thank God, I thought you were gonna say you were secretly dating Rosanov. And now I'm picturing Ilya just completely disgusted by this. I just had dinner, and you may ask, Alice, what mysterious concoction are you drinking out of a straw in a mug? It's just plain water. I just feel like straws make everything taste better. And this might not look like it, but it's hard plastic, so don't worry. What I am killing is honestly my spirit, because
I am 89% of the way through Game Changers, and I'm about to finish it. I'm about to finish it right now, because I want my reaction to that scene, if you know what I mean, that scene immortalized in my brain, because this is very good. Let's read. This is for you, Mom. What is it with Rachel Reid's protagonist and not having a mom? It was perfect. It was. I think I'm giving it 4 stars. It was very good. I really enjoyed myself. The external tension is what pulled it together, because the internal tension of the relationship was, I think, lacking in the first 3/4 of the book. I can't wait to see this on television Friday. It's very soon.
Okay. Good morning. It is 10 a.m. I really wanted to sleep up until 8, but I was so exhausted yesterday because trains just like wiped me out. But now I'm here. I am eating my wonderful breakfast, which is always sweet. And I'm here to remind you, please kids, take your morning meds if you have them, so you don't end up like me with an eye twitch because your magnesium levels are so low that your doctor is very concerned. Even though I have a wonderful balanced Mediterranean diet, I'm just the weakest link in the human connection. But let's talk about Tough Guy. I, yesterday night, started the 3rd book in the Game Changer series. It has this cover. I'm going to put it right here. Because every time I go outside, okay, to touch a little grass, and I want to read, this is going to be the cover that everybody sees. It fits because we are talking about a very burly man, very big, one of the biggest in the league. His name is Ryan. He is an NHL player, but he gets traded a lot. Every year he's with another team because his role is to wrath up people, is to like break into a fight if something happens, like you have a lower number of points during a match, so you send him in to wrath up the best player so that they both get sent to the penalty box and you have a chance to score. He doesn't really like his role. He doesn't really like hockey at the moment because he suffers from very, very high anxiety. He is on meds, and I think the representation is wonderful. He's really scared to fly, and every interaction is very awkward because he doesn't really get to make any friends because he gets traded a lot. I really like him because I was him. I'm still am him. His like love interest. He is called Fabian. He is a musician and he is very, his gender expression is very fluid. He puts on a lot of makeup because he works at the makeup counter. He loves makeup. He's very openly queer. He dresses in a lot of androgynous clothes, and he's kind of like a Gerard Way. They're so mismatched and I love them. I really like them together because they're so different and it's so unexpected, and I really want to see how their dynamic develops because they used to know each other from when they were teenagers, and then they had kind of like a moment in which they almost kissed and they never talked about it ever again. And now, this tension is delicious and it's so natural, like the dialogues are so natural. I'm having a great time. It is very short. This is 235 pages. The first book was double that size. I don't know. Ilya Rozanov got his cameo in this book, as always, apparently, and he's been a menace, as always. I miss him a lot. Tomorrow there's the new episode, which is going to be about Scott Hunter, but I do believe that it's going to be also about, Ilya Shane. Obviously, it's called Heated Rivalry, not Game Changers. Guys, I love him so much. Well, good night. I just took a shower. I was at my theater practice, which ran kind of late, but I also did a little bit of reading on the boat. 59%
all the way through Tothkai. I really like this. I like the exploration of a person with anxiety, especially someone who's on meds. There's a lot of complications with that can happen, especially on the sex drive part, and Ryan struggles with that. They're just very compatible because they listen to each other so much. I just want to read you this exchange. So Ryan, the hockey player, says, "When we were kids, I'd never seen anyone who looked like you before." And Fabian, the other one, like his love interest, says, "Lebanese?" And he says, "No, I mean all sophisticated and glamorous." And Fabian is like, "Glamorous? Oh my God, you really were sheltered." And Ryan just says, "You just look like someone from Panic at the Disco." I love Rachel Reid because she knows how to write like genuinely funny and natural dialogue. They're just two people talking, but it's so funny and it's endearing. I am going to read as much as I can. I think I have like 90 pages or something, but because it's very short, I'm having so much fun. I am so happy right now. I'm so happy. Chapter 18 was the shit. Nobody should tolerate homophobic remarks. Never. Good morning. Do not even look at the background, please. I'm doing some winter cleaning. Is that a thing? Guess what I did last night? At 1:11 a.m. I finished Tothkai. I am so happy. Their story was definitely brief, a little bit of a quicker read, and I really loved the tension. Like, you have this anxious man who is 6'7", like he is a mountain of a man, and he has health problems, and he doesn't really love hockey anymore because they always put him in this position where he only has to fight. He doesn't really play the game, he just fights. And I really loved that it was an ending, but it was a kind of bittersweet when it came to hockey. Like, we see a different type of hockey in this book. It's not just the adrenaline and the fun games, it's also like the brutality of it for a person who's not, I think, compatible with that kind of life, who wants to be happy. And I really loved how genderqueer Fabian's character was. He loves lace, he loves makeup, he loves, like, I'd say, androgynous gender expression, and I really, really liked how they cared for each other. I would have loved a chapter more, like one more chapter, because it was so short. And now it's time for, what is it? I'm also on FaceTime with my boyfriend, and I was trying to explain why I love this series so much. He doesn't get it. He doesn't. It's Common Goal, which, between all the covers, this is, I think, the most decent, because I'm looking at book 5, Role Model, and Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm super excited. I also, this morning, watched the 3rd episode of Heated Rivalry after, reading the first book, because the 3rd episode is about Scott and Kip. My heart is so full. And I get why they adapted, I think, up until the main conflict of the story, because Scott and Kip's story is so important for Ilya and Shane. And I think a lot of people weren't expecting another episode about another couple, but Ilya and Shane's story is very brief. Also, it's like a barely 300 pages book, and 4 episodes about them, or 4 or 5, it's perfectly fine. They still have, I think, 3 episodes in which we are going to see like the tension building up and then bursting, and it's going to be delicious. I also wanted to add that Ilya's cameos, and apparently he has a cameo in every book, he is fucking hilarious. He is a menace in every fucking POV. It's so nice to see. So now, let's go with Common Goal. Listen. I don't care. I look ridiculous. I'm in my PJs with my headphone covers that I made. What page am I on? 38 of Common Goal. And they're at a gay bar, and they have a drink named after Scott Hunter, and Ilya Rozanov is there for some reason, and he orders a Scott Hunter, but there's someone who can't drink. The protagonist of the book, Eric, cannot drink,
And so he says, can you make it a mocktail? And Ilya Rozanov says, yes, a virgin Scott Hunter. I love this man so much.
Okay, it's the next day, and I am 75% through. Come on, goal. Don't talk to me, okay? Don't judge me. This is the 4th book. After this one, I only have, what is the next one? I can't actually remember, but this talks about a goalie. It's a character that we've already seen. He's called Eric Bennett. He is 40 when he starts in the book, and then there's his birthday, so he turns 41. So he's one of the oldest player, not in the game, but like in his team. He is in the same team as Scott Hunter, the protagonist of the first book, and his love interest is Kyle, another character that we've already seen. He is the server in the first book. It's possibly the most sex-forward book of them all, and yes, I am saying this after having read Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry is more about the tension, less about, the sex that they're having. This is more about the sex that they're having. Because they also have a very, very delicious tension between them. Because Eric is bisexual, but he's been married 20 years, and he's now, not really freshly, but like a year before the book, I'm sorry, my dog is just scratching himself in the most awkward position. He looks like a pretzel. So he is now single, not really ready to mingle, but he wants to, and he also wants to explore. Finally, after a long marriage in which he loved his wife, but the love fizzled out, he wants to explore his bisexuality. And Kyle propositions to him, he's like, if you want to explore, I'm down for that, like friends with benefits. And they obviously like each other. I think for the themes that are implemented into the book, I am reaching the end and I don't see a resolution like coming soon. There's so many problems that they haven't talked about in the relationship, but I love it. I really like it. This is the funnier book because this is going to sound mean, but as the oldest person in my friend group, I'm 27. I love old jokes. I love being called 1,000 years old. This is so funny to me. I dread turning 30, sure, but also it's just a number, and I think it's so funny that the teammates all treat Eric as, he's one of the most decorated players in the game, but also he's like a grandpa. He is very straight-laced. He takes care of his body because he knows that he wants to play. And he's now thinking of retirement. So they're all like, oh my God, the grandpa is coming. And he goes to bed at 10 p.m. There's also very, very cute and genuine and natural banter between them. So I'm really liking this. I'm also here for the Ilya Rozanov cameos. He's the most beloved characters. He's just there. He's there to play the gay fairy godmother. So I think I'll finish it today. This will mean that I finish this book in the span of a day. This is embarrassing. Is it? Or is it just that I'm a very good reader?
I have 50 pages to go, which I know aren't actually 50 because there's acknowledgements and stuff about the author. I want them to talk to each other. I want them to talk to each other so bad. They are making me anxious. I think the first part of this book was the best. Now it's kind of dragging on a little bit, even though it's so short. I want them to talk to each other about their feelings and fucking bonk their heads together. I am wheezing! What? I finished it. The first half of the book and the very end, good. So good. Incredibly sweet. I think the resolution of the conflict and the conflict itself was a little bit rushed. I would have loved 50 pages more. Especially at the end when they had their resolving conversation. It should have been longer because it was so rushed, so compact, and how they resolve their problems and how quickly they I am into you, I want to be with you, but there's this problem, which is, the age gap, because there's a 15 years age gap, but they get over it very fast in the span of a conversation. So I don't know, it's not my favorite conflict in the books, but I really liked their relationship, and the ending was super sweet. It's Scott and Kip's wedding, so sweet. Also the ending sentence, I'm not going to spoil it to you, but it's so good. It's very good. So now I have to go out with my friends, so I'll do that. And tonight, oh my god, I only have one book left. I almost want to start and finish The Long Game again, so that I can experience it. But I think it's still my favorite out of all the books, The Long Game, which is the last one. But everybody told me that book 5, which is my next one and the last that I have, is their favorite. So very hopeful, crossing my fingers.
In this outfit, I feel like a little lollipop. I also, with my microphone so tiny like this, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, whoa, a bug. And then no, it's just a microphone. I have a confession, as almost every day of this fucking reading vlog has been a confession. I started Role Model last night. Even though I was exhausted, I had a pizza party with my friends, and then we watched Love is Blind Italy edition. We watched 3 episodes. It was midnight. I was wiped out. Me and my dog were like, goodbye, time for the snoozes. And then I was like, but I want to start just a chapter. Let's see the dedication. I'm at 16%. I should have idiot written on my forehead, because now I am so tired, but I'm liking this so far. This is Troy's story, and his name is Harris, I think. Troy, we see him in other books, and he is the best friend to a very dick player, like a player in the hockey sphere, NHL sphere, that everybody hates because he treats women like garbage. And at the beginning of the story, Troy, everybody thinks that he's his best friend. They just have been rooming together, and Troy has been under the bad influence of this person. So he's been kind of a dick, but he hasn't done anything that egregious. He's also gay, in a closeted relationship. At the beginning of the story, he gets dumped by his very high-profile boyfriend, who after a week gets engaged to another high-profile person, and so he's coming out, very proud, and Troy cannot tell anybody that he has been cheating on him, like on the person that he's engaged with Troy. Troy has an outburst in a very public space with that dick player, and he accuses him of being a rapist, because there were so many anonymous confessions online about women saying, yeah, this guy raped me. It was rape, it was sexual assault, and nobody believes them, of course. Nobody believes the women aside from Troy. And so the clip of him calling this other player a rapist goes viral, and he gets immediately traded because nobody believes him and everybody wants to protect this other star player. Oh my god, of course he didn't rape anybody. And so he gets traded to the Ottawa team, which is captained by Ilya Rozanov. And Harris is the new social media manager of the team. Very nice guy, very cheerful. He only wants the best reputation for his player, and so he has to transform Troy from very disgraced player into a role model, hence the title, which I think it's a very fun dynamic. And I mean, Troy is a very tormented man. I mean, he hasn't exactly done bad things. He was an asshole to a lot of the other players, and so he wants to rediscover the kind part of himself and just play good hockey, and Harris wants to help him do that. After Heated Rivalry and The Long Game, this is people's favorite book. They love this couple, so I'm very excited.
Sure. I am waiting in my kitchen for my ramen to cook, and Ilya Rozanov is in the picture. Every time he's in a book, the book just gets better. He's just so unhinged. And I already read this scene in The Long Game. He is very concerned for, Troy. He got drunk, like blackout drunk before a game, because, everything got into him. And Ilya is like, get the fuck over yourself, play, and then go to a therapist.
I am wheezing. What the fuck? they're listening to songs on the radio, both Harris and Troy, because they're commuting back and forth from a party, and the song's playing on the radio. It's Fabian. It's Fabian from Tough Guy. It's so nice. Oh, I'm kind of sad that Ryan, the protagonist of Tough Guy, is not friends with all of the other people. I think they all know each other, but they're not friends with Ryan in particular and Fabian. So this was nice. Hello. Harris is also the mascot. That's so sweet.
Okay, not the most flattering of angles, especially because my combo today of outfits, this is so 2014. But this was from 2014, and this was thrifted. Thrifted. Yeah, you know, recycling queen. I think I'm going to listen to the audiobook while I finish one of my Christmas presents. It's going to be a bonnet, and it's for one of my boyfriend's friends. I think she's going to love it. Right now, swim cap. Like those swim cap that people who do water polo use, but it's going to be shaped better after I block it, and then it's going to have a little ribbon right here, and then another tiny border up here. I hope I have enough yarn. I don't think I do, but let's fingers crossed, and let's go on with Role Model. It is so far the most, like, the slowest burn out of all the books, because it's very sweet, and Troy, the hockey player this time, has very conflicting feelings about, not about him being gay, but him being out and proud, because he would like to be out, but he's not proud of it. I just listened to the most, I don't know, I think the most beautiful coming out scene in all of the books except for The Long Game. There was a very big scene with Ilya that I already read about in The Long Game, and I kind of think that you should read book 6 and book 5 like inverted, because I don't think it would have any impact to, I don't know, it would have a different impact to read about Ilya through the eyes of Troy and then look into his head. And I think for me it's more of a gut punch to know that I already know what was in his head, and then I'm seeing it through a lens. I'm also thinking about rereading The Long Game. Am I insane? I am insane. Am I? Yes, I am. I think I'll do it, because I have, today's Sunday, this video is going to be up on Friday, so I have time. I'm going to finish this tonight. I'm at 50%. So let's finish my Christmas present barely and go on with the book. It is that moment in The Long Game. It is that moment. Reading about it, if you've read The Long Game, you know what I'm talking about. They're on a plane. Reading about it in someone else's POV, genuinely terrifying.
I just did a tier ranking of all of the books in this series, and my camera was not recording. Fuck me. Well, let's do it all again. I finished Role Model. I don't remember if I told you that I finished it, but I liked it. So I finished a series. It feels surreal. I want to do a tier ranking of all of the books, starting with the one that I liked the least. It was still a good book, but Come On Girl. Why do you do this to me? Come On Girl was the weakest. It had a wonderful first half. So funny. Like, Ilya was on fire as a character. Eric, he's kind of older, he's 41, so a good "you're old" joke will always land with me. I think it's hilarious. Second half, I think it was rushed. The book would have benefited for being longer, like 100 pages more, or just 50, of a conflict resolution that didn't feel so rushed. The epilogue was good. The ending line was phenomenal. I still think about that ending line, but the conversation at the bar, like the last conversation, was so rushed. I don't know. I gave it, I think, a 3.5. Then, I know you're going to be mad at me. Game Changer. Book 1, the original Game Changers, Scott Hunter and Kip. I really like this book. It was the longer one of all of them. I think double the length of a common goal. Scott and Kip's relationship was definitely the sweetest, but that meant that they were so sure about their feelings for each other that the conflict was just external. They had no turmoil, like internal turmoil, and that was a little bit boring. I know that the author knows it because all of the other characters in the other book called them the boring couple, especially Ilya. It was very sweet. They were the original people who changed the game of hockey. I give it, I think, a 3.90. Yeah, it's a weird rating, but it's not a full 4 stars, but it's still like right there. Another book that was on a cusp of being a 4-star, it's a 3.95. Of course my mind would come up with this. Tough Guy was wonderful. I loved Ryan. I loved Fabian. I loved how they talked about the complications of having a clinical anxiety and the meds that you have to take for it. I loved how queerer gender expression was written into the book with Fabian and his concerts. I didn't really like the fact that they were so removed from all the other, like they're not really friends with all of the others, and that felt like a shame. I wanted Ryan to be friends with all of the other players, but I get why it was so removed. So I gave it a 3.95. Yeah. And then we have Role Model. Role Model, full 4-star. I really love a sad man. I think Troy's internal conflict of wanting to be a better man, wanting to be an out and proud gay man, but having been surrounded by awful people for a very long time and awful successful people, that got into his head, and so his struggles were so not relatable but fun and interesting. Harris, I love how he has a heart condition and everybody treats him like he's so fragile, but he's such a strong character. He is loud, he has a boisterous laugh, he's such a sunshine character. I wish he had a little bit more of a conflict within himself, but I really loved how this pathetic man fell in love with the most sunshiny man of all time. And then we have Heated Rivalry. Heated Rivalry is what started it all for me. The tension of this book is so delicious. I think the fact that it's so sex forward, but he uses the sex scenes as a means to get the story across. Like every time they have sex, every time they encounter each other, or even kiss, Ilya and Shane, their relationship changes a little bit. Like you see their feelings run so deep and not really that quickly. Like it's a very steady flow. And I think that a lot of times sex in books is just, eye candy or just gratification. This was a very interesting way to use it. So I gave it a 4.25 stars. And then The Long Game. I mean, The Long Game is the last book. It's the best written. The writing definitely improved from Heated Rivalry. Loved the mental health rep when talking about depression. I loved how they were together, but they still had some internal and external conflict. It was so well crafted and the ending was perfect. I just felt for Ilya and Shane so much. And I think that Ilya's character, he feels like a person that I could, be friends with. He was just so three-dimensional. I know I told you that I was going to reread The Long Game in this vlog, but it is just too long. I'm going to do it though. I'm going to read it all in one night and then cry, because that's just how I do things. I fell in love with this series. I'm so glad that it was picked up for a TV show. I'm so glad that I read it. This is the end of the video. I hope you had fun. I certainly had so much fun. I have some socials, they're down below, and if you want to connect with me, they're all there, especially on TikTok. It's fun time there, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Mwah.